16th of July, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
This is towards the last few lines of 6.
Rabbi Levitt, you're muted.
Oh, that's okay.
I can hear you.
All right. So now that you can hear me, I'm suggesting that we try to do this Mishnah again, and let's try to do this Mishnah again. We'll understand it this time better, I think. Bez Hashem.
This is the non-capates.
Yeah.
So we're on 63, left-hand column, second paragraph.
Okay. Got the place, Alan?
6B3, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
These new ones?
Let's start.
Abaye approves.
Okay. Okay, Kofatz Echad Mina Menuyin.
You want me to read?
Yeah.
And the Bari proves that the animal tithe obligation does not apply in cases of doubt. This none we learned in the Mishnah. Kafetz echad min hamanui yin l'sochan. If one of the animals that had already been counted jumped back into the midst of the animals in the pen, and its identity cannot be ascertained, kulan baturin, all of the animals, both those that have been counted and those that are still inside the pen, are exempt from tithing. The salkadaisach speka boi isure. If you should think that an animal of questionable status must be tithed, le'esar mima nafshach. Let him tithe however you want to view the situation. Let's see. Let him tithe the animals inside the pen, or however you want to view the situation, the outcome will be acceptable and possibly desirable. Dei bar chayuva hu, that if the animal designated as the tithe is subject to tithing for the group of 10 in which it was counted does not include the previously counted one, Shapir Maser, he is properly designating it as the tithe. And if it, the animal designated as the tithe, is not subject to tithing, for the group of 10 animals in which it was counted does include the previously counted one, he has done no wrong. Niftar Braminyan Haroi, because each animal in the group is permanently exempted from tithing once it was included in a count that was fit to reach the requisite number of 10. I'm a little lost, but let me just finish. Damar Rava said, Minayin charoi poter. The fact that an animal was included in a count that was fit to reach 10 exempts that animal from tithing, even if the count did not subsequently reach 10.
Okay.
I don't get the Mount shock. I see the first case, but the second case seems to be failure.
Okay. Okay, so should we go over the Mishnah first and see what's the story with the Mishnah, and then continue with this that you read after the Mishnah? The Mishnah is saying that an animal which is a suffix is exempt from the whole mitzvah of Ma'aser Behema. That's what comes out from the Mishnah. And that's illustrated by the fact that we have this animal that did not yet get counted, and I'm sorry, an animal that already was counted, and before they finished the counting, this animal jumped back into the section where the with the animals that had not yet been counted. And so what that effectively does is make the two groups of animals that we have, the ones that was already counted and the ones that for sure don't need to be, that are okay, let's cross that one out. We got two groups, and both groups now are exempt from the mitzvah of tithing. Why are they exempt? Well, let's focus on the ones that had not yet been counted. The ones that have not yet been counted, they are exempt because, let's say there's 1,000 of them, but one of those 1,000 is an animal that was already counted, and he jumped back into this pen where the 1,000 are. So now each one of those 1,000 animals is exempt from the mitzvah because he's a suffix. What's his suffix? His suffix is we don't know whether he already was counted. If he was already counted, then he for sure is exempt because he's already been counted. But the ones who have not been counted, theoretically, they should be obligated in Meiser Behema, in the mitzvah. But since we don't know which animal has not been counted and which one has already been counted, even though there's only one of them in that group that's already been counted, we say the whole group, the whole 1,000, is we have to be choshesh, have to be concerned for the possibility that any one of those 1,000 is the one that's already counted, and therefore we say that all of them are exempt. So this Mishnah is proving that a suffix animal, meaning what's the nature of its suffix? It's suffix whether it's obligated in the mitzvah of Meiser Behema, and the reason why it is a suffix is because maybe it already was counted. So if an animal like that that's a suffix, it's already not chayav, and so automatically if it's not chayav, it's already patur. Okay, enough of that. Okay, so now the Gemora, so that's the Mishnah. Now the Gemora moves on. Isok Adaita spake boy asuri. So now the Gemora is not satisfied to just accept Abaya's proof. They want to nail it down and say, if you still think that a suffix animal, if you don't accept what we just got through saying in the Mishnah, that's a proof. So let me prove it to you further. Isok Adaita spake boy asure. If you thought to say that this suffix animal should really be chayav in Meiser Behema, and he needs to be meisered, so how could that be? If the Mishnah says all the animals are patur, thinking about this. Isokadaita sveik boy asure. So this is like another way of proving that it's not chayav. Because if it would be chayav, If it would be chayav, the Mishnah should not have said what it said. The Mishnah shouldn't have said they're all potter. There's an eitzah if they're chayav. What should we do? Let's have all the animals that have not been counted, those 1,000, and even if the one of them, we know one of them has already been counted, let's not worry about that. Let's do the meisering. Let's send them through the line, and we'll count them all. And we'll say like this, which means from both perspectives, we're not going to have any fallout. Because why? Because out of these 1,000, since there's only one of them that's a suffix over here, surely we're going to be able to have many groups of 10 animals that we're going to send through, and we'll successfully meiser them. Because the ibar chiyuvahu, because if those group of 10 animals none of them have yet been counted, and so really they're all really obligated in the mitzvah, and if so then shaper meiser, we were able to do a mitzvah of meiser behema with those 10 animals that not one of them was the one animal that spoiled everything and jumped back. So we're gonna be successful in doing meiser behema. So, and if you'll say ilav bar chiyuvahu, if one of these 10 was actually the one that jumped back after having already been counted, he jumped back into this group of 1,000 that had not yet been counted. If the 10 that we're now sending through to be counted, if one of them was that one that jumped back and he really already was counted, so then what's the big problem with that in any case? So what does that mean? That means that we didn't do the mitzvah. We didn't do the mitzvah. That animal, the 10th animal, is not kodesh. But in any case, even though that's so, nifter b'minyan hara'ui. This is the point that the Gemora is saying over here. The Mishnah, the Gemora is saying that each one, nevertheless, each one of these 10 animals has now become exempt. In other words, he's fulfilled a mitzvah. He's become exempt. Minyan Ru'ui. Because he was counted because we say like this, even though this group that he was counted in, this group of 10 that he was counted in, one of them is not really belonging there, and so there's not really 10 animals that need to be counted. But we're going to say that look, that we still got all of these other animals that are in the pen, that they do need to be counted, and let these 9 that did need to be counted be joined together with the other hundreds of animals that are still in the pen that had not been counted, and that's called that they were that they were that the minyan was mushlam. The minyan was completed based upon joining one of the animals that still hasn't been counted. And like that, we say that the animals that did go through, the 9 animals that did go through, they were exempted. And then we say the Amar Rabba, because that's what Rabba holds. Rabba says, Minyan Haroi Poter. Rabba says that any animals that were part of this scenario, that we need that even if one of them was not supposed to be there, because he was the animal that jumped back, but nevertheless we could regard the 10th animal to fill out the minyan as from one of the animals that are still in the pen we'll just join that animal, so to speak, intellectually, so to speak, with these 9. And then we got our that's called a haroi. That'll be enough to exempt the animals, to say that they've been counted. They've been counted effectively. So in other words, you got that so far? Anybody still awake?
No, you lost me when you said you intellectually counted.
Well, you see the problem that we have over here. The problem that we have over here is that we got one animal that really doesn't belong there. He's already been counted, and he's so we're worried about that animal. What we're saying is that no, we don't care about that animal. That animal doesn't spoil anything, because we're gonna regard the 9 animals that do need to be there, that do need to be counted. This animal, this 10th animal, he doesn't need to be counted. He already got counted and jumped back. But it doesn't mess up our minyan over here. We still got a minyan, because we can regard one of the animals still in the pen that has not yet been counted at all, as he'll join together with these other 9. And so we got a minyan haroi. That's fitting enough to be a minyan. And if so, we got a minyan that we counted. So then good. So then those 9 that went through that did need to be counted will be regarded in the halacha as being effectively counted. And therefore, according to this, there'll be ample reason to undergo a counting of all the animals that are in that pen, all those 1,000 animals. Let's do all of them. And if we see that the Mishnah says that we don't do that, then it must be because of the fact that it's like Abaya says, that what we say is that all those 1,000 animals there, they don't need to, they are putter from the mitzvah of Ma'aser Behema, because each one of them is we look at it and say, maybe he's the one that already was counted. So it makes each one of them a suffix, and the suffix exempts them. A suffix on each one of them exempts each one of them. Okay. Any questions?
What happens to the one that was already counted?
What happens to that one?
Is he exempted?
I would assume that he's also exempted. He's definitely the reason that he's exempted is not the same reason as all the other 1,000 ones. He's exempted because he already was counted.
But now he's being counted again.
Right. So that's why that's why we don't have 10 over here, because he's already been counted.
So somewhere in this group of 1,000, you got one.
Bill, can you mute? Thank you. Okay.
So somewhere in this group of 1,000, you got one that was counted twice, and 9 that were never validly counted. Correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we got one that's already been counted and he jumped back.
And then it was counted again.
Yeah, so now on each one of these 10 that's going to go through now, right? The Mishnah said, oh, now these 1,000, each one of them is a suffix, and they're all exempt. You don't have to do anything. Nothing needs to be done. They're all exempt. End of the story.
But we don't end up counting any of them.
That's what the Mishnah says. And the Gemora is saying like this. The Gemora is proving that it must be that the Mishnah is correct, because if there was still an obligation on the ones that were not yet counted to be counted, because a suffix needs to be counted, so then we have a vehicle, we have a way of doing it, which won't create a fallout. You have to understand what's the fallout. The fallout is that maybe our count is not going to be good, because each one of these 10, we're worrying maybe this one that jumped is one of these 10. And if so, he messes up the whole thing. We don't really have 10.
Right.
Because this already been counted. So we say so we say no. What we're saying right now is that itself is not a reason why we shouldn't do the counting. That's not a reason to say we shouldn't do the counting, because we'll explain you how it is that we could do a successful counting like this. And then we explained it, like we've said. Elamai, why is it that the Mishnah doesn't give this suggestion of what to do? Because the Mishnah says you don't need to do all of that. The Mishnah says they're all exempt right now. If it would be the case that they really need to be misered, these animals that are a suffix, says the Gemara, we got a way to make it work, and there won't be any fallout from it either. Because again, let's go over the cheshbon again. It's a bit of a complicated cheshbon, but maybe the second time around we could say it a little clearer and a little fewer words, which is always clear. Fewer words is clear. We say like this: Manavshach. Either way, there's two possibilities, and either possibility doesn't present any problem. That's the Manavshach. The first possibility that could happen is we'll send 10 animals through the line, and if none of those animals was the animal that jumped after all had been counted, so he did a great meisering. They're all we're assuming for the sake of the argument that they're all high, and we did a good meisering. That's what the Gemora says, shaper meiser. So that's first side. We didn't lose anything, and we got accomplished something. The second side is, what happens though if one of these 10 is the jumper? If one of these 10 is the jumper, says the Gemara, we also have no problem. Why not? Why don't you have a problem? You're meisering 9 animals with a 10th animal that's already been counted. You can't do that. So the Gemara says, no, we got no problem with that. You know why? Because we were able to intellectually regard the 10th animal that belongs to this group of 10 as oh yeah, he's that animal that's over there still in the pen with the other 1,000, and he has not gone through the line to be counted yet. The halacha allows us to round out our minion of 10 with intellectually regarding one of those animals that's still out there in the pen, the 1,000 that didn't go through yet, and that's called minyan aroy. We have an appropriate minyan because these 9 are joined by one of those 1,000, and we don't need that jumper to round out our minyan. He's not rounding out our minyan. We don't need him. And so like that, we don't have a fallout. We thought we had a fallout. No, we don't have a fallout. So that's the Maman of Shach. So the Gemara says, if it would be the case that all of these animals really are chayev, at least the ones that have not yet been counted, if they're already chayev, we have a solution to be able to count them and fulfill their obligation of being counted, and we won't have any fallout from it either, based upon this principle of minyan aroy. Based upon the principle of minyan aroy, of intellectually regarding this one of these animals as rounding out the minyan of 10. So now we got a minyan of 10. That means that these other 9 animals were counted with a minyan aroy. That's called an acceptable minyan. So they got exempted too. It's being counted. So why doesn't the Mishnah say this? Why doesn't the Mishnah say this? Because the Mishnah says, listen, you don't need to do all of that. That's what we're saying in the Mishnah. We're saying you're putter. Once this animal jumps, then it's all over. The game is all over. Every one of them, they're putter. Goodbye. That's it. We don't need to do all of this that the Gemora is saying afterwards. They're all putter. They're all exempt. They're all exempt from the mitzvah. In other words, when the Gemora says that they're putter over here, it doesn't mean that they fulfilled the mitzvah. I don't think that's what it means. It means that they're not capable of doing the mitzvah. You can't do the mitzvah with a suffix animal. Since you got to regard those 1,000 animals that are still in the pen that have not been counted, each one of them is a suffix, because maybe this one that you're gonna put through, he's the jumper. So each one of the 1,000, you say, oh, maybe he's the jumper. And so therefore, since you don't know that, because it might be that he's the jumper, we say this animal, it's not possible to do the mitzvah.
So,
Kulan Paturin. That's what it says in the Gemora, in the Mishnah.
in other words, if I want to summarize, working backwards, we don't have to count anybody because they're all exempt. Why are they exempt? They're exempt because if you decided to count them, then you have two scenarios. One is you can count them because you have valid groups of 10 without the jumper, or you have the jumper, but you can never nail him down. Anytime you want to say he's in this group, you could say, well, let's assume he's not in this group. Is that a reasonable rendition of what you said?
We're saying we're saying like this. We're saying if he's not in the group, so then good, we did a good meisering. That's the first side of the Maman Shach. Then the next side of the Maman Shach says, you know what? If he is in the group, even if he is in the group, we got no problem. He doesn't make a problem for us. So let him be in the group. Aye, but now all we have is 9 animals. How do we do a meisering with 9 animals? Says the Gemara, no, that's not a problem. We'll just intellectually regard one of the animals that's from the 1,000 in the pen, who does need to be counted, as joining up with this group of 9. So therefore it will be regarded as these 9 animals are joined together by one of the animals that's still in the pen that has not been counted whatsoever at all. So what this is doing, what this Maman of Shach is doing, is showing us that if it would be the case that a suffix animal does need to be counted, we would be able to do an effective counting of all of the animals. And we'd be able to effectively fulfill the mitzvah of Meiser Behema, using by means of this Maman of Shach. So therefore, we're saying, if the Mishnah didn't tell us that this is what we got to do, the Mishnah just said, they're all patur, kulan paturin, finished. If that's what the Mishnah is telling us, then the Mishnah is telling us is that that all of these animals are not chayiv. They are not chayiv in the mitzvah of Meiser Behema. That's what the Torah says. The Torah says the only animal which is chayiv in the mitzvah of Meiser Behema is an animal that is a vadai chayiv. We know for a fact that he needs to be he needs the mitzvah of Meiser Behema, because we know for a fact that he's never been counted. But each one of these animals, we cannot say that about. Maybe he's the animal maybe he's the jumper. Oh, well, if he's the jumper, so we got a problem. And each one of them, we have to say, maybe he's the jumper. So each one of these 1,000 animals is a suffix. Oh, says the Mishnah, a suffix. He's not obligated in the mitzvah of Meiser Behema. He's not obligated. There's no chiyuv. So if there's no chiyuv, there's no mitzvah to be done. You can't fulfill a mitzvah with an animal like that. He's not chayiv. The animal is not chayiv. He's a suffix. A suffix is not chayiv. The Gemora is saying it's got to be like the Mishnah says. It's got to be like the Mishnah says, because if it would be that the suffix animal would not be exempt, we have a way of doing it so that we could do the mitzvah and not have any fallouts. Must be that if the Mishnah doesn't tell us to do all of that, must be because it really is like the Mishnah says, that these animals, since they're a suffix, they're not chayav in the mitzvah ma'aser behema, and by default they're all exempt. We can't do the mitzvah with them. The mitzvah is not possible to do. You can only do the mitzvah ma'aser behema with animals that for sure need to be counted. Okay. Ad Khan. Everybody have a great day.
Hey,
Thank you, Rabbi.
yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll see you at 4.
Set for Alan.
Well,
Okay,
bye, Alan. Bye, Lou.
bye.
Bye-bye.